Okay.
we can go in a different direction. And I just started broadcasting.
Cool. Yep. All right. So we're live. Welcome, everyone. Today is Friday, September 28th. We're still sprinting on website one. Oh, website one, localsuppot. Sorry. It's been a long week. I need to make some more coffee. And early. It's early for me. It's not even 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm the one that's like struggling to talk properly. So I've already started sharing my screen, and we were talking about what to do. So we're working on support for repeating events, which is this really long issue number that's like really difficult to remember. I'll just increase my font a little bit. And I probably have this open, though I want to get rid of this. I don't like this. So like when you're working at a different branch, and then if I save those files, then they'll like save them to this branch, which I don't want. Oh, so that's interesting. Okay. So I've just gotten done, I guess, with I ripped the audio version of our retrospective for people to listen to, but I forgot that it will save it in the file that I'm working on, so I don't want that. I'm gonna move that to there. And then I also have this Travis file that I've added. Then I'm just gonna ignore it for right now. And then I'll open up Adam again. And I guess I'll run this admin new events test, which we know we had 2 failures before. I've kind of copied, although I was interested in, you had a fix for potentially for that issue that we're facing this morning as well, that so we're here, we're in this recurring. So this is what I remember Sam doing this morning in the scrum. It's like he grabbed this recurring select dirty hash to rule value, and he set that equal to rule.
Yeah.
And then he asked, like, if the rule is nil, then I think he might have just put nil, but I added this super nil. I'm not sure. Okay. I felt like that might be important. That's why they put it here. But and if it's not nil, then that means that we have something, and then we want to convert that to a hash, which I think is like a JSON maybe. And then we want to return the rule. But good.
Okay, I wanted to ask, after we do that, do we really need the else part? I think it's handled for that, or yeah, we do. Okay, yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I had the same question, and I this morning as well, and then I guess Sam responded by saying we don't know for sure if this will like if this is not valid, then maybe it'll come here, you know.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if a person, I don't know, if a person adds something that's not a valid rule, although, you know, I think that this gem, the intent of this if else statement is that the string null is not a valid rule. So, you know, I mean, maybe more experienced people would be going into, I mean, I guess we could as well try to find our way into the so we're working with this recurring select is where we're getting this from, is try to find our way into that where that rule is being defined and find out what they consider to be a valid rule.
Yeah.
Do they, here we go. So is it here? Module recurring select. Oh, okay. So that's not so difficult. So we have this dirty hash rule. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. Okay, all right. So we have is a valid rule, and then they pass in the possible rule. Okay, and return true if possible rule is a ice cube rule, and return false if possible rule is blank. Right. So interesting. So okay, we do have here value is equal to null here. Params reject. So it should be rejecting if it's null, if it's blank or it's null. But where does this filter params get called? This is so ugly. Okay. Thanks for sharing. These guys have a sense of humor as well. Right. So, okay. So this filter params, when does this get called? Filter params. Is that getting called anywhere? Okay. Rules hash equals filter params. Awesome. So when does that get called? That gets called here when the dirty hash to rule gets called. So dirty hash to rule gets called here, but that gets called after this gets called. Because we're saying, is this a valid rule first? And so we drop in here, we pass in the string null, and we say return true. If so, where is this ice cube rule?
I think we'll find it in the gem ice cube.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Yeah, because it's requiring ice cube. All right, so then we need the copy var. Ice cube. Ice cube also being, this guy. So maybe I need to say ice cube. Yeah. Ice cube is much more common than. So here's another thing: scheduling recurring events with ice cube gem. So here, do we have a list of the rules somewhere? Is that just here?
It should be. I think it was in the documentation or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Also find it.
They have like a list of the rules. Yeah. And in this documentation or in the recurring select? Oh, look.
This one. Okay.
Schedule rules. Recurrence rules. Okay. Rules. Types of rules, many types of rules. So the rules should be here, right? Daily, weekly, monthly, by day of the month, monthly by day of nth week, okay? Yearly, hourly, minutely, wow, secondly. Team over have open source recurring select make sure. Right. So I mean, do you agree that the string null is not a valid ice cube rule?
Yeah, I
Or
do
something.
agree. Yeah.
I mean, so it's really surprising to me that this would evaluate to true.
But I think you see in the select as the option for selecting, it's defaulting to a recurring. Maybe a recurring select people defined it as a rule or something because it's among the set of options that you can select. So if you select null, it's a rule, but it doesn't give you an option to recur. I'm not sure, but from the tutorial, they were expecting null to not be a rule, so that's why they were not flagging it as a rule. Maybe something changed with the recurring select term or something. I'm
Yeah,
not really sure. Yeah.
definitely. And I mean, I don't know how much time we should spend on it because I mean, potentially we have a workaround,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because I guess the way you kind of got around it, which I did as well, but I did in like the controller before I even found like this whole thing, is I just said like, if the recurring is equal to the string null, then return this. Otherwise, then check that if it's a valid rule. But I mean, and that's not what we're really blocked on, is it?
No.
What are we blocked on? So I guess like I should say that since then, since this morning, I'll just show you. So we're passing the test. Okay, so that's good. That feels like
Awesome.
we could write tests, you know. Um, and then if I start the server, which I presumably don't have another server started anywhere, doesn't seem like it. Okay, so that's started. Then I come here. I already have this. Well, I guess before I refresh the page, you can see that I have added events here to the map, and it's not they're not recurring, you know. So I guess I'll refresh the page. We still have those events which are non-recurring. So I guess, I mean, I could. Oh, look at that. That's really weird that that's returning in this JSON, you know?
Yeah. Oh, you have .json.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't put that there, you know, that was
Oh, okay.
added when I think it's just because I don't know. So we have events.new or /new. And we can say, why won't you show up on the map? Recurring problem. So we come here, and then the other thing I've found out is that we can create past events, which doesn't make sense to me. Why that would be part of the implementation.
Wow. We
I would think
can.
we would have validation saying that you can't create past events because why would that be? Oh shoot. Okay, so I probably should rename this because my intent was to create a recurring event because this, so my expectation is that this, so you can see here, like, because I've added this part here for us, that this actually has created it with you know, something that's interpreted by our logic there in the view as being a non-recurring event and has actually said recurs never.
Oh.
And then if I come here, that is on the map, right?
Mm.
On the calendar, sorry. I keep saying map. So that's good. That's what we expect. However, if I come here and say recurring, which only shows up for the first event, why don't you show up on other weeks? And then put that here and set that for an hour from now. The frustrating thing as well is that we can't actually. The cool thing about writing tests about this is we can play around with things more than we can in real life. Because what I was going to say is that we probably can't wait until after this event is over. You know, it's going to be 2 hours from now to
Yeah.
see if this, you know, or like on Monday, come back and look at the schedule and see if the second event is there. You know.
Oh.
But what we can do in tests is they have like this thing that they have set up, I think, on local support where it's called DeLorean.
Okay. No.
You know what the DeLorean is?
No, I don't.
So that is not, that showing up is never.
No.
What?
Why not
Okay.
recurring?
That isn't working then. All right. So then we need to drop in a bug and find out what's going on.
Oh,
Because
I think I know what's wrong. You have two rules. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Sorry.
these rules have 3 rules actually. But this one is going to be like, we're going to process the dirty hash rule, and then we're going to do this whole thing where we like say if this rule here is nil, then we want to set this value to nil, or keep the value nil basically. And if else we want to call this method here to hash.
Oh yeah.
So the other thing is that like I have added this stuff here,
Yeah.
from the tutorial that like you were talking about adding, like which has a method called rule, which I don't know when that actual method is called anywhere. I couldn't find out anywhere that method is being called, but and that will call the ice cube rule and from hash and pass in the recurring.
Okay.
I'm not sure if we can. Oh, that's being called here when we schedule. When we call the schedule method, and then we pass in the start. That perhaps this is what we're missing is like this, somewhere. And then the schedule is equal to ice cube schedule.new start. We pass the start of it, okay, and then we have the schedule.add. So I'm tempted to. I don't know about you, but I'm tempted to. Close some of my tabs. You're probably not tempted to close some of my tabs. or you're tempted to ask me to close some of my tabs, maybe. Builds.
Those are a lot of tabs.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. I'm gonna put you in a different window altogether. So if I wanna. Okay, so we're using this here, which I probably have open somewhere. And then they have the source code here. And I feel like they don't have any issues here. They have 2 stars. They have 2 people have forked. I mean, we could fork this and interact with it and just verify that actually theirs is working.
Actually, I've done that. It's working very good, but you can do that.
Oh, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. I was thinking like, so we have the apps, we have it. So I was coming here and paying attention to like this stuff here and seeing what's different. Like they have here the events all. So I added this. I think I've since removed it, but I'm tempted to add it back. But I don't think that's our issue. But so we have here. No, it's not here. It's here. We have. Oh, I do have it here. All right. So I have calendar events here, and then there's this JSON builder that also is this is how I showed you how we're using. So we have here, right. So that is interesting. So that is actually, when I did this before, I was sure that this was actually breaking the calendar and not showing any of the events on the calendar, but it's actually not.
Actually, it was doing that to mine. I tried using the as calendar events and nothing was showing up on the calendar. So yours is working better.
Yeah. So one of the things I had to, I mean, I added this calendar events, but I think you did that as well, right? And I did run into some issues with like
define method start date.
I'm putting him. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And it was like start time or something, and then I changed to start date, and then here, like, yeah, this was schedule start time, and here was like start time. Here was name, and I had to add title. Although this, I'm not sure where this is coming from.
It's the same title as the ID. Okay, like we are taking that event and creating another event.
Yep.
Like a recurring event with the same ID and the same title as the same event we have just created. Right. Yeah, if it's recurring.
Right. So this here, right. So this is what's calling this method. Or no? I think this is calling the method, right?
Yeah.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then that's going to return the schedule here,
Yeah.
and that's going to ask the occurrences with the end date, and then that's going to map it, and it's going to create new events. So I mean, that makes sense. Like why is it? Okay, so I have a bug here. So if I come here, presumably that was, no, this is not what I want. If I go here, and yeah, you can see it stops there. Okay, so now I'm here, and what are my calendar events?
Oh, you actually have them.
Yes, I have something, yes. I'm not sure if that's like what's the difference between this and this? That
Between?
is equal to ask calendar events. Can I do that?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
right. I
Between
can. I mean,
Ruby.
I expect that they're not going to be equal. They are equal.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Bomb.
weird.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
I mean, okay. Is that because I'm changing the events when no, that's all right. So this here doesn't seem to be doing anything, or
Yeah.
no? Let's watch it. Oh, look at that! It's coming up with a nil.
Wow. Okay.
Syntax error, unexpected end of output. This here. What?
Oh, you need to.
Oh, do I not have a? Do I not
Okay.
have a closing? Look at that. Oh, I do have a closing. Oh, but
I
I
think you
didn't.
just didn't copy it. Yeah.
I didn't copy it. Yeah. Right. Okay. Cool. Thanks. All right. Well, that unsurprisingly, the same thing. Right. So, what is at events? Okay. So, why are they equal? So this is active record relation, and this is not. Interesting. Okay, but they're the same events.
What about if you do dot count? Do they have like the same amount of events?
Account 5 and dot calendar events 5. Yeah. And are they? I mean, I haven't seen any ones that are recurring that actually have any information besides, or did we verify that that is broken actually? That part that actually serializes them. I think we verified that that's not working, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing.
Actually, there's none, which is recurring.
I was thinking of like a way of doing it where it's like at events dot where, doing like this where and then like recurring, and then it's like, then what do I put here?
Not equal, not null, not
Yeah, I
nil.
know. Very not blank. Can I do
Okay.
that? I don't think I can do that. I feel like I can't do that because this is like Ruby and yeah, let's see. No, you can't do that. Okay, so what if I do? Can I save it to not recurring? I don't think that will work either. No. So not recurring is not. No, does that make sense? No. Should be recurring, and then this is, but this isn't going to work either, is it?
What if you say nil? What does it?
Oh no, I don't want to do that. So I want to do where it's nil, like this here, nil, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them. So can I say where it's not nil? Okay, so no, you can't get that.
You can. You can do that.
Here.
Not nil, yeah.
Oh, look at that. It returned something. Can't dump recurring. Was supposed to be a hash, but was a true class. All right. Well, I mean, we're getting far inside the matrix, and ultimately, like, I guess we. I'd like to talk about testing. That would be really cool, and it would potentially, like, if we have nice tests, it would potentially speed up, like, needing to go there and manually create events and that kind of stuff. I mean, I suppose we could do it in the Rails console as well, but why is it? So I was going to drop a buy bug in here and try to figure out why it's not serializing. I come here and do Rails console. RVM, use that. Rails. Are we using 2.5? No, 2.5. Right. So if I try to create an event, then it will hit that. Yeah. Okay. So let's say at event is equal to event dot create, and then I pass in. It needs a title. So pairing. Then it needs a description, right? And what are the event params? Here. Where is it? Title, description, start date, end date.
Organization ID.
Organization ID,
Yes.
right. But I can create it without an organization ID, I think, because in here they create the event first, and then they add the organization ID afterwards. So let me try that. Start date, end date, address you don't need. Okay. Description, programming. Then start date. Need this I'm now. I think. And date. I'm now. Yes, 1.hour. And recurring. No, I didn't like that. What didn't I like? I mean, I think I am gonna write some tests, because then we can just automate this. Because here I can't really tell. I mean, I could guess maybe this nil. No.
Just say dot errors.
So it does have a start date, so that worked. Oh yeah, that's right. You taught me that. Although maybe you didn't teach me because I because I didn't remember. Organization ID can't be blank. All right, so that's easy. Should I keep this nil? I want to. I'm tempted to leave it like that, and the organization ID, organization first. Go back. Okay, so what's the error this time? Organization ID can't be blank.
Or maybe we should have said dot ID or something.
Did I not? Oh, organization dot first, but I didn't say dot ID, did I?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so that worked, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So now I have event. All right, and I have event dot recurring. Although I'm not sure if it should be a hash like that or not. And I can say recurring, and it says false. Look at that. That's really
It's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Although I'm not sure what we can do with it yet, but I feel like we could do something like that. Like if the event is recurring. So why did I do that?
Do it. Create an event.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
you wanted to create an event where we have a recurring and then see if it will come out as nil, if the hash
The
will
thing,
be empty.
the thing is that I can't exactly can't exactly replicate like what we would in the browser, can I? Because I'm not like I'm not clicking on the rules and stuff, and so
I think you're doing fine. Like the SCube rules
ah
dot daily
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
I was hoping that it would get I was hoping that it would stop at this buy bug here, right? Because I put in a buy bug and I was hoping it would stop there. I say nil here. No, it doesn't stop at that buy bug. And you can see the output if I put nil is the same. It like serializes it into a hash.
Okay.
And if I say dot nil, it's false. Interesting. And it doesn't. It's right. Okay. I want to write tests. It's, I mean, I'm not sure. I could keep playing around with it in here, but we have to write tests anyways, right? Like we're not going to get the feature. We're not going to get this feature merged in without tests. And so we talked about this before, right? We came here to features. We talked about, what did we talk about? It's not map. It's not. It's events, right? And we're doing for reoccurring events, and index feature. Index feature is
Yeah.
empty. Why would index feature be empty? Index feature is empty. That doesn't make sense. Are you in a position where you can check this on GitHub, like on the local support like develop branch, if there's a events index feature, and see if that's empty?
Sorry. Okay.
I was just
And I had lost you for a moment, so it just
oh
came back up.
sorry. Where's my internet?
Maybe it's even mine.
Yeah, I'm plugged in. I'm hoping I don't. I guess I can. So I was just wondering in this local support. So this is the develop branch, and we have features, and we have events, and we have index feature, and it's empty. What?
What?
That seems really odd. Okay, well, let's populate it with something, shall we?
Yeah.
So I'm not so good at this, but so I'm just gonna maybe copy this and something I need to get better at. Paste this here, and the feature is going to be called list recurring. Well, this is an index feature, right? So maybe we shouldn't be adding it to the index because we don't want the feature just show reoccurring events, do we? So yeah, I think I will ignore the fact that index feature is empty. It's not search local events. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it recurring events.feature. And then I'm going to paste that in there. And I'm going to say list recurring events as a member of the public so that I can find out what's going on in my area. I would like to see a list of, so who see recurring events would, I mean, would be for a member of the public probably, yeah. So that I can find out, so I can find recurring events in my area. I would like to see a list of recurring events and when they happen. All right. So then what I'll need to do is I will need to create events, right? Sorry, I'm just getting distracted by this. I will add here index dot feature is blank file. Right, test or delete it. Test is something. Not a feature. That's a char, I guess. And then save that. Okay. Cool. So close that. And let's go to an event that actually does exist. See upcoming events. Okay. So, and look, this is here, like with no T, you know. I'm really tempted to just add a T to that, you know. But I'll try not to get distracted. So we have here where we copy this. I'm trying to think, but I'm just gonna go doing and not think. So I need to add here. Do you know? Right. Yeah, this is the issue. We ran into this a little bit earlier, so I don't really know how to pass in the information that they want to pass in. And I was thinking just like how are we gonna pass? Because like for this, I can say here like I think this will pass through and evaluate to nil, and then that will be handled. But then what about this one?
I think we can try the SQ rule.daily. I don't know if it will work.
Yeah, exactly. I can say daily here, let's say. And then and that and that. Save that. And then what happens if I just run that? I think that will I don't know. My expectation is that it's gonna fail because it's not gonna understand what I mean by wasn't well maybe. I'm not sure if the step definition is probably not is not configured to deal with this. What do you think? Or you think it'll
Yeah, I think there are no step definitions for the recurring stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if it will need that, because we don't need, like, the thing is like we do have it in our database, right? So I'm not sure if we have to add it into the step definition, like if it'll just like try to create the, because there's no validation saying that you have to put something recurring. But the thing is like the default in the browser is that if you don't, that there's like a nil as a default.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, like in our test there maybe is not a default. So I'm not sure. Let's find out. Or maybe this won't actually, I think I've seen this before. I think this won't fail because there's no actual scenarios. I think you have to actually write a scenario first before it will get caught up on failing this part of the test.
Yeah. I guess.
I think it's gonna say like zero,
Yeah.
zero failure, zero steps. Yeah, that's exactly what happened before. All right, so let's write a scenario. This is all right. So here we go. Let's write a scenario. Do we need JavaScript? Yes.
Yes, we do.
We need to create an event. Given I visit the events page, I don't know why I right-clicked on that. So I'm not sure about that.
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
Wait, it's Mike.
Mike, I was just thinking about you. How did you know I was thinking about you? You're inside my head. I was thinking about you because I remembered that we got this far in writing cucumber tests for that feature that we need to finish for website 1, and then we ran. I was expecting it to fail, but it didn't fail because we hadn't actually written any scenarios yet. So now, and that was the same thing. I don't know when you joined us, but that was the same thing we got right now, where it says 0 scenarios, 0 steps. So now we've added a scenario and we've given it JavaScript, and the scenario doesn't have a name. Creating events. We'll just say that for now. Come back to it. So given I visit the events page, I should see my first event. Yep, because I should see an event today within calendar. So this is what uses the JavaScript. Actually, is it? Yeah, this is what uses the JavaScript because I removed this JavaScript and it failed on this here. So then I should see an event today within the event scroll. Okay, that makes sense. And I should see start of this and end of this. Okay, so what do you guys think? Seth already said maybe you think that maybe it's going to fail, like I was saying before, because of this. We haven't defined this in the step definitions, that it has a recurring thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's definitely a possibility. Mike, you want to chime in on what you expect, or are you just too new to what we're dealing with to even give an opinion?
Maybe I'll do some catching up first.
Oh, yeah, that sounds sensible. I think it might be okay because I think you don't have to have recurring stuff, so it'll just ignore it. Yeah, and that looks like exactly what happened.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know exactly, but I think if we added validations to our model, we could get this to break, but we don't necessarily want it to break. So let's go to this. And if we modify this, we will get everything else to break, I think. Or will we? We potentially are going to break all the other tests by messing around with this. But that's okay. We're on a branch. So who cares if we break everything up? Why did that not find the... I don't know if you guys use VS Code, but there's like Sam was showing off this thing where you can jump between, you can jump to the to where it is in the step definitions, you know. So it's here. I have to come here to my terminal and like copy the thing, and then okay, cool. So are you guys familiar with this? Mike, you're a little bit new to this whole cucumber testing. Seth, do you feel like you have a...
No, I've done like a ticket or two on local support on that, but I can't say I'm familiar with that. I struggle every time I have to write cucumber test.
Yeah, cool, awesome. I'll take a minute to explain some of the stuff that's going on here. So we have here this table, and this table is like whenever you put in these feature files, like something like this, it is you can see here there's some, I think there may be a better explanation somewhere that gets copied over from no, not here. Anyways, so it knows how to handle that, right? And then we can grab the table as I can do here for you, and that's the table, right? So all this information is the table, and then if I say table.hashes, for example, then it has hashes, and so that here has those hashes, which are my first event and an event today, right? If I do .count, I think there are 2, right? So that you might have noticed directly relates to these 2 here, right? These 2 rows. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. I'm following.
Oh, awesome. So then here you can see that we're iterating over each of these table hashes, and we're assigning a local variable called hash, right? So if I come here and I say hash, I will get this here, right? So this is like, as you can imagine, it will start with this first row here as it iterates through, and it will this is kind of like a, what you might see as like an object. I don't know if that is, what is that though? Hash.class is a hash. Okay, cool. So it's a hash. That makes sense. I just got it now. That's why it's called, All right. So you can see here that anyways, you have to laugh at yourself sometimes, So cool. So then we can do cool things like we can ask the hash organization, which I will do. Here, what's the hash organization? Oh, that's cats are us. Look at that. That's cool. And then what I'll do is I will say, I'm stopped here in bybug, right? So you may be familiar with the fact that because I'm stopped it here, this information here I don't have access to yet. Well, yeah, you know what I mean? Like this here has a value. You can see the value that's being passed in from here, right? Grabbing this value from here, we have organization, we have start date, we have end date. All of these things here that are in the first row are the keys that we can access, like this, organization, blah, blah, blah. If I just say hash, you can see all these keys, title, description, blah, blah, blah. And we have here recurring daily, right? So then what this will do as it works through this thing, if I say when I hit continue or whatever, it's going to come here and it's going to say that I want to have the hash organization be equal to this here organization. And Mike, do you know what this is going to do here? Like what this value is going to become?
Which value? Come again.
This hash organization.
Oh.
Like if I grab this. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. It's gonna become cat for us, or?
Oh, Mike's gone. Oh, that's why he wasn't answering. Oh, sorry, I muted myself. What do you think it's going to become?
The cat for us. Hash organization. I think it will return the organization of. Yeah, the organization. So if we are talking about the first hash, it will return. Oh, but yeah, I think it will return the cat for us.
Yep. It's going to return the. Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, and I will put it here, and then you can tell me if that's what you expected. So yeah, it's gonna grab the model, right? And it's gonna go looking in the database for an organization with the name of, which we can see here that right now this hash organization has cats for us, right?
Yeah.
The string cats for us. So if I replace this here with the string cats for us, it would be the same. And then what it's going to return, like you said, is it's going to return the organization, like the entire, you know,
the
object that it.
Okay. Okay.
So then you can see here that has all kinds of information that now if I say this, you know, it's now the object, you know. So yeah, and then after that it's going to come here and it's going to say hash start date is equal to it's going to assign it a value of this here timezone.now plus 1 day if the hash start date is equal to 1 day from now. So let's ask what so Mike's saying he had to drop off because the internet's bad. So I know he's dying to get back to the parent. I don't remember what they used for the start date. I think they used an actual date, maybe. But anyways, yeah, they did. They used an actual date in 2030. So that means that when it gets to this line here, it's not going to do anything, right? Because the hash start date is not equal to 1 day, the string 1 day from now. And when it gets to here, it's not going to change anything because it's not equal to yesterday. And when it gets here, it's not going to change anything because it's not equal to today, right? The start date's not going to change because the person who created this test that we borrowed from passed it in as an actual date instead of a string, right? So then if I come here to end date, same thing, it's not going to do anything because it's not a string. Okay, so then it's going to get down to this right here, right? And we already remember that the hash is equal to that. All the information there. So we haven't added anything about this recurring. So we could, let's do this. Let's copy this and let's say at event is equal to this here. And then we can check how that, so we can see there that it takes this string daily and it's like, don't know what you're on about. And it serializes it into an empty hash. So it says that it's not a recurring date, which is okay. We're fine with that, right?
Yeah.
Well, no, not really. I mean, we actually want daily to actually be serialized, right? So what we want to do here is we want to add hash recurring. You can put it in as either one. But let's keep that the same. So that's going to be equal to. So you were saying we should call the. Yeah, we should call the ice cube rule, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we can try that.
Or maybe we have a method that we don't. Here, rule, right?
Yeah.
Can we do that or no? I don't think so, huh? Because it's not going to understand daily, is it?
Yeah.
How can we use that rule? I would like to use that. That's it.
I think we can only use it if we are in maybe a controller or a view of the events.
I'm going to just try to just call it and see what happens. Invalid rule type. Yeah, right. Invalid rule type. Argument error exception. Invalid rule type. That's interesting. So it tried to call the method, but it didn't like the rule type. Okay. So if I can, do I have access to this, like this here, this ice cube rule dot something? Because we do have. Can I say that? Oh, look, I created a new rule.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I don't know what to do with it, but Ice Cube. Okay, cool. So they have Ice Cube schedule as well. Ice Cube rule. Look. See, then we can say Ice Cube can provide iCal or string representations of individual rules. Okay.
Yeah, so like you can say dot daily, and then you get a rule that recurs daily.
Yeah, dot daily with two. Why did they pass in two though?
Because they want it to be recurring twice
Twice a day.
the second day of the week. So like they have twice daily
Well,
twice.
no, but
Then,
sorry.
yeah, like daily twice, um, 2 days, and then day of the week, and then they select those 2 days of the week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So they have here weekly, daily, schedule dot every day, schedule dot add recurrence rule, Ice Cube. There we go. So we want Ice Cube rule daily. Oh, okay. Every day is just daily. Every third day is okay. So it's every other day basically is what the. Right. So can I say at event dot recurring is equal to that?
Yep.
Oh, that did something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it did. But that's event dot recurring empty string.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Welcome back, Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hmm.
Hmm. I'm not sure. That's the problem. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't need to be sure. But I'm just wondering how can we? So I want to grab this daily,
Yeah.
and I want to transform that into. But maybe I don't need to transform it. Maybe I just need to call one of these methods that transforms it. Because we have this we have this here, right?
Oh, I think the problem, I'm not really sure, but maybe we can try to change the rule to hash
Yeah, yeah,
when
like
you
this.
are signing it. Yeah.
So if I do like this, oh no, like this, then I pass in here this ice cube. Is that what you're saying?
Not really, but the first one that we did, SQ rule dot daily, and then let's say that to hash, and then assign that to recurring
Okay.
column.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because it's serializing in it as a hash. Okay,
Yeah.
let's try that. That seems more sensible. Dot to hash. Then let's call this rule. Daily rule. Daily rule. Look at that. Wow. You're amazing. How did you? So you came up with that by like in looking at this here, this here.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So cool. So that's good, right? So then what we want to do, I think, potentially, and I probably will make a mistake on this, but we want to say the hash recurring is equal to this here if the hash recurring. Anyone want to finish it? Is equal to
Hmm. I have no idea.
Mike.
I don't get the context actually.
Yeah.
What are we working on?
I'm sorry, Mike. We're working on reoccurring events. So right now we have these events. Sorry?
Yeah, you're saying something.
So we have these events here that we're creating in our test framework. And we have here like my first event, which is good for everyone. And it's from Cats Are Us. It starts in 2030, so quite a ways away. And it ends 10 minutes later. And then after that, it recurs daily.
Ah, wow.
Yeah. So what I'm doing here is that we have here this hash recurring. If I look here, I might have changed
it. Is it why have you called it hash?
I haven't called it hash actually. It was called hash when I copied and pasted it. And the reason it's called hash is because we're assigning it a local variable here, because what we do is we have this table that comes from Cucumber, I think, or Capybara, maybe Capybara, that we can set up our tests in Cucumber like this, where we give it these tables, you know, so we can have like the first row of the table is going to be like, anyone, if you're familiar with like Excel spreadsheets or stuff like that, you have like these headers, and these headers are going to be available to us to access based on this, I mean, I could change this hash to whatever I want to name it. But the reason it's named hash is because it's actually returned as a hash, a Ruby hash. So I grab the table and then I grab its hashes, which it has several, and then I iterate through its hashes. And each time I iterate through it, I assign it to the local variable named hash, right? And then so since it's a hash, I can access its keys to grab the values of its keys, right? So hash organization, for example. And then the other thing I can do is, in this case, I can change the value of its hash, of its value, right? Like I can with pure Ruby. And I can give the hash a new value. So I can say here, I'm going to say here, Cats Are Us, because that's a fast way to set up the test. But actually, what I really want the test to do is I want to use that name to go in the database and find the organization with the name, find the organization with the name Cats Are Us, and return that object to the hash organization, because later I'm going to create an event based on that information.
Oh, okay.
And if I just pass in the name of the organization, then this will fail validations. It won't allow me to create an event, So then in this case, like some people, in this case, we're not using it, but some people have found it more readable for the test to say things, instead of saying like start date with an actual date, they said, let's just say today, right?
But then I see your start date is a false value, a true false value. Or did I see something else?
Yes, we have conditions here. We say if so this is like a conditional assignment. We're saying like, hey, take this start date that you have, which is equal to today in some cases. Like the next time we iterate through this, it's going to be equal to today, because it starts with this first one. And then when it's done with the first one, it'll jump to the second one, So the next time we iterate through this, it's going to stop in bybug, and it's going to come here and it's going to say like, hash is equal to 1 day from now, and it's going to say false. So it's not going to do anything on this line here, and it's going to skip to this line, and it's going to say hash start date is equal to yesterday, and it's going to say false. So it's not going to do anything on line 22. Then it's going to come to line 23, and it's going to say hash start date is equal to today, and it's going to say true. And then it's going to say, okay, well then I want you to reassign the hash start date. So instead of being equal to the string today, which will fail the validations here on event create, I want you then to actually create a date time which is, you know, which is equal to time.zone.now.
Okay.
And then it'll do a similar thing with end date, you know, and then it will get to this new column that we've added. And like I was saying earlier, is we have to be a little bit careful because we're borrowing this step definition from a lot of other tests that are using it. And depending on what we do here, we could break the other tests. But I don't think we will because we have this conditional, you know? So we can just ignore. We can ignore all the other tests that don't have reoccurring, I believe, although I could be wrong. So then Sess has told us that, like, has showed us how we can use. So this part of it you're definitely not familiar with, where we have this ice cube is a gem that one of the gem that we're using, which is called recurring select, which maybe there's, you know, I guess gives us some cool JavaScript stuff like that we can use in the views. I don't know if I can show that to you. So we have this. We have here when we create a new event, I'm logged in as a super admin. So that means I have access to create events. And then I come here. So now I have this. This gives me in the this drop down, and then when I click on it, I have the option of leaving it blank and saying it's not a recurring event, or I can set a schedule. When I click on the set schedule, it's going to give me a pop-up, a modal. And then I can create rules, which these rules are based on another gem, which is called Ice Cube, which website 1 uses, which looks like this. And I can create rules for it to follow. And then if I call the method to hash from it, then it's something that I can store in the database.
Oh, okay.
Right. So what I think, I mean, we haven't checked that this part works, but what we have done is we do something similar to this here, like in the, I mean, we're not serializing it, I guess. I'm not, you know, it's a little foggy to me exactly what serialize means. You know, like,
yeah. I think it just converts it to maybe a JSON or XML.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In this situation, it's converting it to a hash.
Yeah. Okay. Because we're telling it to hash. But the thing is that when it receives, like, this doesn't happen until it creates, right? Like when it's actually inserted into the database, and we're giving it something that's a hash, right? Or we're giving it, we could be giving it nil, and then in that case it needs to serialize nil into a hash, like an empty hash.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyways, we think that this is kind of mimicking what the actual implementation does. So, and we got to that by, like, this here where I got all excited. I'm not sure if you were with us when I got all excited. I think you were. This here I recognize from having played around in Bybug and looking at what this looks like in the database, you know, like what we're going to be sending to the database. And it's like, it has this rule type, which is like the ice cube rule. It has the interval, which we're accessing in our views. And it has these validations that there's an empty hash, which I'm not sure is supposed to be empty, you know?
Well, you're not sure?
I don't have enough experience with this gem and what we could add as potential validations and that kind of stuff. But so we had passing tests before, and that was good. But we had passing tests because we weren't actually testing anything. We were just testing something that we already have tested, that it can create an event, right? So now we have said,
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry. I was just thinking. I'm just thinking that are we actually so Sess, what do you expect is gonna happen after I rerun this test?
I think it's the. Do we have like what do we expect? Then I should get. Can we go back to the dot feature?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna work. Our test will pass because we have not handled the scenario where we are expecting us to be seeing a couple of repeating events. I think it will pass.
Yeah, I agree. So we haven't actually, yeah, perfect. Yeah, because we haven't actually said like we expect to see in the list like Monday, October 21st at 10:40. You know? Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you because the problem that we were facing is not. It's not that it was failing to create the event. Actually, okay, so there's a couple different things. Like because of the way we're doing this here, we're not even actually testing the way that the event is created, are we?
No.
Oh,
See, this is the thing that I think that like we probably shouldn't be even starting off with, given the following events exist. Should we? We should be. We should maybe be doing something where there following organizations exist, maybe, and then we go there and we say fill in the title with my first event. Fill in the description with good for everyone. Fill in, select cats for or us from the organization list, and then like click on the start and end date or something like that. And then the user actually clicks on like the daily event thing and then hits create the event.
yeah.
Because that's actually that's the problem that we're facing is that this here might work, but this is not because it's failing for us locally because it's not actually giving us this part here that we got here. It's just showing up as a blank hash, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyways, we already did the work to get here, so we both agree that when we run this again, having removed this, it should pass because we haven't actually put in there for it to fail. Yeah, and unsurprisingly, it's passed, but let's break it, shall we?
Yep.
Okay, Matt,
Yes.
will you please remind me how these tests flow? Like,
How they what?
How, like when I run the feature, when I want to run this test, I will run the dot feature file, right?
That's
I will
correct.
do rspec dot feature.
No, these aren't RSpec. So in local support in website 1, we're not using RSpec for acceptance tests. You can use RSpec for acceptance tests if you want to, but we're using Cucumber. You remember?
Yeah, this is Cucumber. So I will run Cucumber recurring events dot feature.
Yeah, you run Cucumber and then the actual path, like the absolute path of where it lives. So if I come here to the structure in the working tree, we have here a features, an entire directory called features. And then inside features, we have it like organized into, what we consider, to be like logical. So events, for example.
Yeah.
And then we come here to events and we've created a file that they need to end with the .feature file, and we've called recurring events.
Yeah.
So then if I come here, if I push up this here, if I just write cucumber, it will run everything in the features folder.
Yeah.
Or I can say cucumber features, and that will similarly run everything in the features folder. But like this is something that you want to do like before you put in, before you push or before you put in a PR for sure. You want to try running this so that you can see if you can predict whether it's going to pass the build or not. And then if you want to run everything in the events folder, then you run it like that. And if you run all the features, you run it like this. And if I want to run just one failing test, for example, that I want to see if it's an intermittent failing test, for example, then I can do a colon and say exactly which test I wanted to run,
Okay. And then back to the feature file.
Sorry?
Back to the feature file. So I would like to see a list of that's maybe a comment.
Yeah, so these are like the user story, right?
Yeah, that's the user story.
So it's like the feature is a list of recurring events, and then as a member of the public, so that this here like as so that I would like, like kind of a accepted verbose for how we write user stories,
Yeah. And then okay, yeah, I think it makes sense now.
And then we have background where we can create like users or events or things that are prerequisites to us being able to run what we want to run, And then here we have like scenarios like, given I visit the events page, then I should see my first event. I should see an event today within the calendar. I mean, ultimately, like this here, like, maybe we could trim off some of this stuff, but anyways, for now, let's just, so what do we expect now?
Failure.
Failure! Woo! Yeah, I mean, I do as well, but I am, because I've done, I've tried to replicate this locally, and I wasn't able to see the recurring events, but I also didn't do it the same way that we're doing it in our test,
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But yeah, I expect it's going to fail. And Mike, you want to go against us and say, no, I expect that it's going to pass. You guys know what you're talking about. No?
I just want to run it.
Run it. Just be quiet and run the tests. The test takes so long to actually start running that you could probably set your expectations while they're running. Yeah. It's looking, and it failed. Yes. That seems like a good time to go have lunch or something. All right. So then it fails. And then some cool thing you can do, like for debugging purposes, if you want, is you can say like, then show me the page. Right. And then I can run the test again. And can anyone guess what show me the page is going to do?
It's going to go to the browser. I don't know.
Very good. Yes, it's going to give me where Capybara sees at that exact moment that that the test is being run, right? So you can see here it's not a very nice user experience, right? Because it's not, doesn't have the CSS and stuff installed, so we have like this huge map, and we have here like this horrible map, which I don't know how it ever finds the thing that it wants. Oh, look at that, an event today. Okay, so that's how it finds it, right?
Yeah.
And then here, an event today and my first event. So my first event is in 2030, so that's a long time from now.
Wow.
And what is it that we want to see? So we think that the one in 2030 should be recurring, but it's not. Okay. Well, that's good. So now we have our homework.
Yeah.
How can we get this functionality working? And what are we doing that's not correct? Because we're not getting the same. So let's see. If I come back here, where am I going? Where am I going? Here. To this, I've put in a by bug here, right? So this is going to get called whenever the recurring this here, Mike, is a setter method.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to get called when it is in the model event. This is going to get called before the event is actually inserted into the database, and it's going to grab the value of this recurring from the recurring hash, and it's going to do this here. So I'm going to say that we have a local support.
So a setter method ends with an equal sign.
Yeah. So this is going to be an everyday event. And we need to put an organization. We need to put a start date. Let's start today. Why not? 4/11. Okay. It must be in my time zone. It's okay. And then we say recurring, set schedule, daily, every day. And then we create the event, right? So now you can see that that's stopped in bybug. So then we come back here to our server, and then it stopped exactly where we thought it would stop. And now, what kind of questions do you guys want to ask this thing?
Recurring.
Recurring. Yes, nice. What is recurring? Empty. Okay.
Wow. An event?
No.
Right. Oh, we have not created the event yet.
Yep. Although at some point here, where do we create the question is, where do we create the instance variable, right? And we create that when new is called.
Oh, so it has empty.
Yeah, I guess I have been saying that this recurring method is called when the create is called, but I don't know if that when this is called, but I don't know if that's actually true. It could be getting called when this new is called. I'm not sure, but we could test that if anyone's interested. Anything else you want? I'm gonna ask it value, right?
Okay.
Okay, cool. So this.
Wow.
And what's the value class? That's a string, right? Cool. So this is being passed as a string, which is why that null is being passed as as a string as well. So that makes sense, I guess. So then I guess I'm gonna ask this here.
Okay, it's okay. I thought your bybug was outside the method, but I see it's in.
So I guess I did put the bybug in a kind of a weird spot because now I'm not going to know what this rule was equal to. Oh, I guess I can do this. I can say this. So this is a method here. Dirty hash to rule is something that comes from the gem, Mike. I guess it would be a class method, maybe. I can say that. Okay, so look at that. Dirty hash to rule. Okay, so this dirty hash to rule is calling the ice cube rule that we're using. So I think to make our test better, we probably should be using this instead of using,
ice cube. Yeah.
Instead of using the ice cube directly. But anyways, we can get back to that. So that's gonna be rule, and then it's gonna say if the rule is nil, which it doesn't look like it is, then the rule and super nil. And if not, then we're going to call rule to hash. So anyone have an idea of what we're going to say when we say rule here?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get oh, I'm confused. But I think we're gonna get the daily interval, but now as a hash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so as well. Exactly what you showed us how to do in the test, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. That's awesome. So the thing is, though, is that we're saying here to return this rule, right?
Yeah.
So then I think that would mean that recurring would equal this rule, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if I say here recurring equals rule to hash, because we need to do that, and that seems to have worked, no? It definitely changed the value. Did it not? It did. It definitely did. It changed the value. Right. So why
Can
is
you
it that
check
we're
recurring dot
not?
nil?
Sorry?
Rule dot nil.
Rule wouldn't be nil.
Oh, why did you assign recurring to the value of?
Yeah.
So what was happening, Mike, is that there are some times where you don't want recurring, right? You say I don't want a recurring event, right? So the default action is I don't want a recurring event. So what was happening is that the way we had this, like I can send you a link to this this tutorial as well if you'd like.
Okay.
The way they had this set is like I copied and pasted this. This is our view, and then I copied and pasted this, and this is how it was, right? It's like serialize the recurring into a hash, and then it was like have a method that you know looks very familiar to the method we have, and it's like check if it's a valid rule. If it's a valid rule, then throw it up to super and run this class method on it, and then say to hash on it, right? But what was happening though is that for some reason the string null was actually being evaluated as a valid rule. I mean, maybe that's correct, but it seems like. I mean, what happens if I guess if I say null? If I do this, but yeah, I did this already, right? And this was true, right? If I do this here, yeah, and I did this already as well. Like, so if I do this here, and I say null, which is what we get back from JavaScript, as a string, then this is going to actually evaluate to nil. And then if you try to say this to hash, then we're getting this like undefined method to hash for nil class, because you can't call to hash for nil. So then what we did this morning in the Scrum, after Scrum, is we said like, okay, well, maybe you consider nil to be a valid rule, but it's not letting us run this afterwards then. So we want to handle that, that exception. And so then that's when we changed it to this here, which is like, if the recurring selected, if it's valid, then run this on it, and and then say assign it to a local variable, and then check that local variable to see if it's nil. If it's nil, then just keep it nil and return nil. If it's not nil, that means the user wants to recur the event, then convert it to a hash and return that. And then by return, that would in turn be like setting the recurring field in the database to this value here, or at least it should be. Ooh, that's
maybe it's the return that's missing.
No, because in Ruby, remember that the last value is, but I'm wondering, because we do have this here. You know, like this is interesting. Like, how does Ruby tell what's a? This is something Joseph was talking about. How does Ruby tell that this is? I'm actually talking about this local variable to return this local variable, and not to run this method.
I think what it does, it looks if the method exists, if the local variable exists within the method. If it doesn't, then it goes to the class.
Then it looks for a class method, like a method that's in the same class.
Yeah.
Okay, but does it? I mean, I'm having a hard time understanding. I mean, it seems like that's all working in Bybug. Like, we've been able to say like recurring is equal to rule to hash, which is what this should be. And then that actually works, and it actually saves it, like at least in this local.
What if you name the rule differently for the local variable? Like just.
Yeah, I mean, I could comment this out, for example. Or also as well, I could. I mean, do I need to return? Do I need to actually return that? Because we just said that the last thing that's returned is this here. So I could leave it like that. No.
Yeah.
There's no reason to actually return rule, like, because it will return this, whatever this is. It'll either be nil or it'll be the rule to hash. So let's resend. Taking out the Bybug. I mean, this was working before, though. That's the thing. Like, wasn't it?
It always was working before.
Famous. All right. So this is saying recurs never. Okay. So that's cool. That's exactly what we want. So I should be able to edit these events as well, though, because like it's not just when. So I'm going to say every day, and I'm going to update it, and then it's going to say recurs never. So it's not actually, somehow that is not that this recurring thing is not working.
What does the rule method do?
I mean, from what so the rule method is being called here, I guess. Or is it? I'm not sure. I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell because, again, this could be a local variable, but there's no local variable called rule here. So I think like this is actually calling this method and then grabbing what's in the database from hash instead of to hash. I mean, I could drop in a Bybug here. See when it gets stopped, but I think it's getting called here. But then I don't know, like this schedule, I think I'm calling here. So if recurring is empty, then it just returns itself. So, and this method is being called here in the index. It's saying like events.flat map, and then it's calling like event, calendar events, params.fetch start date. Yes, from the time zone now to date. Like only future events, I mean, so one of the things we were doing, like, I mean, we wrote some tests that, don't seem to be helping us right now. I mean, probably because we didn't write very, really good tests, but here they do event.new events params, event params. I mean, I think maybe we could drop a Bybug in here in the, then we can, I mean, I feel like we know what the value is going to be. Bybug here. Here we have also, I can see that they have the params, the event params, which is like they have a name and a start time and recurring. We have, so that's where that start time is coming from. Okay, that's why we need to change that. And they have recurring as well. And then application controller, I don't think they have anything in there that's, no, that's nothing. They do have here in like the controllers and events. Oh yeah, so they have an exceptions controller, you know, which we haven't even thought about doing yet, but maybe it's a cool idea. Because I think like it would be nice to be able to, I don't know if you can use those exceptions. We were talking about having a pause button in website 1 where people can say like, you know, this week the event's not going to happen. And I think that would be handled by that exceptions thing. So then if I come here to the models, you have an event exception model, you have an event model, and then the event has many event exceptions, right? Which we don't have, but it serializes it. Then they have this here, which is different than ours. You know, I'd really like to understand why this is different, you know? I mean, I feel like for this to have worked for you, Seth, when you tried this, I feel like this is valid rule would evaluate to false if the value is like null, you know? But then this rule is the same. I didn't change anything there. The schedule, I got rid of these event exceptions because we're not dealing with that right now. So here they have start. Okay. Calendar events start. If recurring empty self. End date is equal to start, end of month, end of week. Start time. So this didn't work here. I had to pass start date here. And this I needed to change a little bit as well, but just like the, hold on. I change something that I didn't want to change. No, this, okay, this has the date. Okay. So what happens if when can I call this here? When am I calling calendar events? I'm calling calendar events every time I go to the index page. That's awesome. So we're getting to the place now that we're almost needing to clean out our database again. Okay, so I've refreshed that and it has stopped. So that's good. At least, you know, something's working in the mental model. I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense because we're calling this. I wondered if it would stop if I, so if that's the case, we should be able to see something about the schedule, right? So we're going through all of these occurrences, we're mapping them, and we're assigning it to the local variable date. And where is it? It's not stopped. It's stopped somewhere. Ah, what am I doing? It's not stopped here. Oh, it just finished. Right, that's weird. So it's not even calling that. Why?
So where did it stop?
I'm not sure. I'm gonna throw a buy bug in here as well. Just throwing a bunch of buy bugs. I didn't call this rule either. Oh, that's interesting. So it didn't stop in here, or I'm wrong about that. Let's get rid of that.
Yeah.
So events controller in the index. Let's throw in a buy bug here as well. Why not? Oh, I don't think I can throw in a buy bug here, can I? I don't think buy bug's cool like binding.pry. I might have to add binding.pry to the gem file. There we go.
Yeah.
It stopped. Where did it stop?
Try.
Okay. Weird. It stopped in a really weird. I don't even know where this is. strong parameters. Action controller, strong parameters.rb.
You can control F.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like, okay, params. I have events. Okay. What if I continue? It's just getting stuck in a loop there. Oh, that's weird. Why is it upset at me? Is it this maybe? Let's take that out for now. Let's continue. Let's exit out of this. Oh, don't want to exit. Oh, right. Oh, I don't know. I feel like we've been talking about this for more than an hour, and it doesn't feel like we're any closer to figuring out what's going on. But maybe that's just my impression.
Maybe that's just the fun part of it.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's weird. So again, it didn't stop at any of those bugs that I have. So this here, like, yeah, I mean, it seems like it's not. I don't know. It's not calling this calendar events. It doesn't seem like. So I'm gonna put a bug in here, and I'm gonna make it stop. You will stop, or not? I don't know. But Seth, do you remember I did run this in bybug before?
Yeah, and it was stopping at the right point.
Okay, so I'm gonna. Oh, what's going on? Okay, we're stopped there, and then I'm gonna copy that and see what that does. Okay, so it fetches the time. All right, that's cool. That's good. Nice. Okay, and we have events, right? That's right. And we have 5 events. No, we have more now. We have 8 events. Okay, that's good. And what if we flat map those events like this? It doesn't seem like it does anything when we do that, right? Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. Right. So that. So, okay, flat map is when it like changes it to where it's like one array instead of having multiple arrays, something like that. But it's already one array. So I think maybe their use case is a little bit different than ours, right? So we already have these events, which I think is already is already like a one array. It's not an array of subarrays. But the more interesting thing is that so calling this calendar events and passing in the date here, calendar events, and we pass in the start. Okay, the start is now, but then so I don't know for sure if that's maybe it is calling it. It's just if it's reoccurring, it's empty. Shit. All right, excuse me. All the recurrents are empty. It's not calling it. It's not calling it because they're all empty. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So now if I call this again, I might need to exit out of this actually. Exit out. And then start the server again. And then I think if I get rid of this here, I'm gonna drop it there. Well, that's gonna be the same, right? Because we don't have any. We need to create an event that has something stored in the database that is not an empty array. All right, what is that? Did I do there? Oh, wow, that was not what I wanted to do at all. I wanted to do that. to that. Okay, did that do anything? No, that said unexpected events controller 82. Oh, it did stop here though. Oh, that's good. That's nice. Is that an old? Yeah, that's an old error message. Okay, cool. So now we're here. Yeah. So it's like I was thinking, like I said, is that all the recurrings are empty. So it's returning self, and it was never getting to the point where it was calling that. So starts is then, okay. And then if I say reoccurring empty, it's going to say true. And then what self? It's going to return self. All right, cool. That's good. That's helps a little bit. So what is that complaining about? Exit. Okay, that's all right. So come back here. We know that all the recurring events are empty. So then what we want to do, I'm going to save that. I want to come here and come where? Come here. Come to the console. And then I'm going to create an event the same way we created an event in our test. Event.create, and I'm going to pass in a title of pairing. Then I'm going to pass in a description of.
You didn't say create with an exclamation?
Programming. No, it'll give me a better error if I do, but you don't have to put the bang.
Okay.
Organization. I can put it if you want.
No, I don't want. It's just cute.
Yeah. Organization dot first dot ID, right? Then we have here recurring, and then we have here ice cube rule dot daily dot to hash. Right? That look right? Says? Oh,
Yes.
no, it's missing. It's missing two things that are validated, which is start date.
Oh yeah.
And that time.
And end date.
And end date, yeah. End date, which can be time dot now plus 1 dot hour. Nice. So that's created. So now I can say event dot last. Oh, what? Come on. Ah, you know why? Is because it's the same problem. We're still always returning nil when we go through that because of this stupid method here.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so annoying. So what happens if I go back to what their method is, and then we try to create an event, and then we can try to deal with the case of, but then if I exit out of this, then I enter back in it, then I should have access to that same thing I just did. I don't. That's stupid. Oh. There we go. Jeez.
Awesome.
All right.
Why did we go wrong with that sum method?
Yeah, so that thing that Sam was doing was helping for that no case, right? But it was messing up with the. So now I'm gonna just try to prove that theory, and so now we've created it in the command line, which is great. But now can we create it in the actual browser. I mean, I suppose I can, while that's trying to load, it's stopped here. Oh, look at that. It called the schedule method. Nice. You know why it called the method? Because now we have, so now we have, this is not true, right? So it's going to come to else, and then it's going to say start date is equal to blah, blah, blah. Then it's going to say end date is equal to that. Then it's going to call this method, which is going to come here. They're passing in the start. Okay. And then what happens if I do this here? Actually, I can copy this whole thing now. Right. So that's cool. We have a, what is this? We have an ice cube schedule. Okay, cool. It's like an object, I think. Don't know. Gonna waste time. It's not like it's late in where you guys are. So then what happens if I do this? Will this work? Oh, look at that. No method. So might have found some problem. Or not. Or maybe not. I don't know. Does that seem like a problem to you, Sess? Or does that seem like...
I'm not really sure.
That seemed like add recurrence rules. It could be part of like Ice Cube, and I can't use it in my... I don't know. Okay.
So like your Ice Cube thing doesn't have the method we are calling?
No, I mean, I think that it does. I think maybe that... Oh, you know why? Oh, duh. Because I did this here. So now if I say schedule, schedule, it's going to be equal to the object ID.
Okay.
Well, you know, happens when you play around. Okay, so that's that. Okay. So then that. All right. So I missed an opportunity to check my understanding and drop in a bybug here to see if that calls this here. But maybe I can I just call that here?
Yeah.
I can. Okay. So wait a minute. So this here, interesting. Okay, so this adds the adds it to the schedule. Like now the schedule changed now. Like what was schedule before? Schedule was this here, right? All recurrence rules. Oh, so it doesn't have a recurrence rule. Look at that. It doesn't have a recurrence rule, guys. You see that? There's no recurrence rule. And now what about schedule? Now schedule has a recurrence rule. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting really excited, you know. And it has this as well. So everything, so the next thing was all exceptions rules. So all exceptions rules is here. That means all of this here was added by this one line of code, right? And then it returns this whole schedule. And then what does it do with that? Then it says recurrences. Okay, cool. So let's do this. Copy this. We can say schedule dot there. Yeah, this is stupid. I don't have this problem in Pry, man. This I don't understand, you know, like what don't you understand about this? I want to, then if I do this here, and then if I say end here, oh, look at that.
Wow, there we go. We have recurring events here. I can see like same ID twice, like 629.
Oh, 629, 629, right? But it's saying recurring nothing, right?
Yeah, the same events,
It's the
the
same
same
event.
description.
Where's the, yeah, look, recurring, yeah. I mean, you're saying we have recurring events in the sense that
And
they
then,
end date and start date are different? No.
It's the same event created over and over again.
No, they are different. Look at that.
yeah, they are
Look, this one's on
different.
the 27th, this one's on the 30th.
Yeah, but they are lacking the end date, so that's another problem that you need to figure out.
Like it's recurring in perpetuity forever. I mean,
No, like end date is nil. The field end date is nil.
not really. Oh, so maybe that's what's wrong. Oh, look at that. Why is end date nil? Oh, because we're not adding it here, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So why aren't they adding it there? I mean, you know?
What
With
does
them they didn't have the end date, I guess.
They just wanted to go on forever. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it doesn't have an end date though, right? It just says like how often it's recurring. It doesn't say like, oh, they do have here this end date though. They pass in this end date.
like what does end date mean? Does it mean
Or
the
like
time?
end date for us is a field, it's a column in the events table.
You know what I did as well that I don't know if I should have done? They commented out this start date, you know?
Yeah.
That's weird. I mean, I guess I could comment this out and see what happens.
Okay.
Or why not? Okay, so exit out of here. And then what were we doing to make this series of events that we this buy bug I can put up here, but I feel like this is definitely being called. Or actually, more importantly than that, I think it'd be nice to stop here. Let's refresh the page. Oh, look at that. It stopped exactly where we wanted it to stop. That's awesome. What is end date? What is start date? Look, it does have a start date. Even with this being commented out. It's the start date of the event, right?
Yeah.
The end date does not have time.
We don't have event, right? Okay. End date does not have a time. That's true, but I'll worry about that one thing at a time. So we have date, which date is equal to the start date. That's interesting. Okay. Oh yeah, well that makes sense. They start the date here, right? Okay. And what if I do this? Look at that though. It has recurring as an empty. What if I continue this? It will stop there for every event. That's cool. Although I'm not sure I really wanted to stop at every event. That's a different date, right? Okay. So yeah, it's going through every event. So how many events do we have? Not that many apparently. Oh, look at that. So what do we have on our page so far? Why won't you show up on the map? Reoccurring. We have nothing on our map though. Oh, is it reoccurring? Or do we just have that many events? Look, this one's named the same thing, pairing, but it is on the same day as well, at the same time as well, apparently. I don't know. Okay. Well, continue.
Okay. Hey,
Continue.
hey guys, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay,
Ah, look at
I
that.
have trouble.
You have what? You have
I have
trouble.
to drop off.
Oh,
I have to
okay.
drop off the call. Yeah. I don't know if you guys will continue, but I'll watch the video later. Oh,
Okay. I mean,
I'm broadcasting, so that will probably stop. So you'll push the code and then
yes. I'll push the code,
yeah, this is great.
even though it'll be failing, but that's okay. We don't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, thank you. See you soon.
Thank you, guys. It's just that I
Thank
have to
you.
leave the office now.
No,
Okay.
no worries. Don't apologize. I think we're gonna probably call it a day as well, because yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
But
Bye.
see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Right.